Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Search Podcast. We're in season 2. It's all go at the minute. I've got some really interesting guests on this week. I've got Rory and Andrew of Talisman Advisory Partners. But I want you guys to tell us more about who you are, a bit more about the business, and get an intro there for you.
Yeah, okay, great. Thanks for having us on with it. Give you a quick kind of overview into myself, then I'll let Andy obviously talk a little bit more about his background. But Talisman is a search and staffing firm, and our tagline is that we focus on the industries of tomorrow. So
yeah,
our entry point is going to be renewable energy and clean technology, but we're building out kind of like emerging technologies team. So if we kind of loosely think about the 4 divisions that we're growing out, it's kind of like future energy, which is going to be renewable energy, clean tech, energy efficiency, that kind of stuff. There's going to be a future travel, which is going to be like space, high-speed rail, EV, AV, that kind of focus. There's going to be a future tech, which is going to be like gaming, AI, cyber, future finance, which is going to be like cryptocurrency focus, blockchain, fintech, that kind of stuff. The quick, I suppose the skinny on my background is I started off in financial sales.
Yeah.
About 10 or 11 years ago, got into recruitment, doing oil and gas recruitment in Singapore. Went on to lead a oil and gas business over there, focused on kind of mid-senior level search, a lot of offshore stuff. About 8 years ago, moved to the US and formed joined GQR and formed the renewable energy team there. That grew out into a division, which became the energy and engineering division. Then I went on to run their West Coast business. So I was in the industry for probably about 11 years before I transitioned and launched Talisman about 3 weeks ago. But
fantastic. What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, well, just want to say thank you for having us on the show. This is
Pleasure.
Awesome. It's the first time I've done anything like this, so it's pretty exciting.
So everyone's got podcasts everywhere these days, right? So I thought I'd jump into the mix.
Well, I come from a slightly more boring finance background, so not as many podcasts, I think, in that space. But yeah, so Rory and I, we've known each other for a long time. We went to school together. We're good friends back then. So we kind of diverged a little bit after we left university. And, as Rory was saying, he went off to kind of Singapore and, did some exciting stuff in sales and recruitment out there. And I went and pursued an accountancy qualification. Actually went and joined a company called Deloitte.
Yeah.
Did my ACA qualification there, and then decided I wanted to try and do sort of strategic and commercial, and actually ended up by hook or by crook ending up doing a banking role, actually investment banking role. So I've been kind of helping advise companies, grow and get ready for sale. So really focus on mid-market companies, which are privately owned, and typically in the valuation range of around 100 million to 500 million, and helping them kind of scale and then selling those to sort of private equity or other larger corporates that might want to buy them up. And so I was doing that for a number of years, and then Rory and I had always had a fairly open dialogue, and I ended up moving out to the US because my wife is from San Francisco area, and kind of the dialogue with Rory increased more and more, and he decided to persuade me that it would be a good idea to come and set up a recruitment business. Brilliant. And that we'd be able to build a really good platform and something which we can scale quickly and build into a nice big beautiful business. So
excellent.
We're right at the very start of that journey, and I'm excited to be there and starting to actualize this thing which has kind of been kicking around in our heads for the last few years.
Brilliant. Fine. So, a couple of questions for you. So you've gone into this market. I'm sure. I know the markets in terms of how successful they can be. But why now? Why not a year ago? Why not 2 years ago? You've chosen to do it. In my opinion, at a really good time after I'd say after we're still going through it, the pandemic. Did that not scare you away from doing it now at all? Or
I think we probably both have different reasons individually why the kind of timing came right for us. In terms of a market perspective, I would say that's secondary, but I think it's a great time to launch a business because we're coming off the back of a dip, and we're riding a wave up, right? So you want to be in with that forward momentum. I also think from a market's perspective, we're at a sea change for a lot of these markets. They're really on the cusp of going from kind of like an initial entry point to really mainstream, and that's going to explode them in terms of recruitment potential right across our chosen verticals.
Yeah.
And then within the industry, I also think that's an inflection point.
Yeah,
the industry changing, and like some recruitment businesses are going to drive to like AI and machine learning and like high volume kind of service, and then that's going to cause, I think, a wave for businesses like Talisman to come in at a much more like consultative level, for a more holistic approach. So I think the time's right for us as a business, and I think individually, from my perspective, I wanted to get a good amount of corporate experience. I didn't just want to be, okay, I'm a really good biller or I'm a decent team leader, so I'm going to form a business, because I've seen so many businesses start like that and they linger around a small number. I wanted that ability to understand how the infrastructure of a company works, so you can take it from 10 to 150. So I wanted that cross-functional experience, and that's what I got in the last couple of years, and now I felt like I was equipped with that.
Yeah.
But more for me as well, it was about having someone that kind of complemented my skill set. Like, I know I'm very good in a front office perspective, but I know I'm lacking in a lot of the kind of business leadership stuff, I guess. Yeah. So when Andrew became available, like that played a big part in my mind as well.
I think there's a personal maturity point as well, isn't there? There was some statistic around 80% of like startup businesses that like make it like IPO or whatever, the age range of the founders is like from 33 to 38 or something like that. Yeah. It's like, and I think that kind of, I wanted to start a business when I left university, but I just didn't know how to do it. And then you kind of, for me, I went in and learned like finance, right? But it's difficult to start a business just based on finance.
Yeah, of course.
So I needed a commercial guy. Whether that's, if it was going to be a technology company, it's a technical guy, but if it's a sales business, it's a commercial guy. And Rory's, he's proven himself in his industry and his market, and
brilliant.
I think for the last few years that he's had, at that leadership level, he's been doing the job already. So
fine.
I think we're just looking to build our own platform here, but it's about having the right skills to be able to do it.
So it works hand in hand, clearly. You both complement each other in different aspects, but I was actually speaking to a lot of recruiters, and I've done this for a while now. There's a difference in the sense of, look, I'm a really good biller, but I have no, and I want to do my own thing, and that was kind of similar to the guy I just had, but I have no idea how to run a business. I have no idea what the finances mean, the operations, the HR, the legal, and all the rest of it. So he actually, in his instance, joined the networking group, surrounded by like-minded people that could help him and guide him and mentor him. Do you think that's a good route for you guys to go down? Do you think you're in a position where you are prepared to, what you're doing now? You've kind of done enough research and got experience, and you're ready to go. I know you've kind of just mentioned it, in little bits.
Yeah, I think I'm probably part of that same networking group, actually.
Fine.
I'm part of a couple, and yeah, I mean, to that point, a lot of them are questions around stuff that's like, what do I do about this deal? Or they're kind of like team leader type questions when people feel like they're on their own, okay, and they lost that support system of their business. So there's nuggets of that stuff that's valuable, I think, to what we're trying to do, but also we are trying to be, we're trying to be a growth platform. We're trying to be bigger scale. Really, we're a medium-sized recruitment business that's in its third week, as opposed to a big recruitment business. And so some of the challenges that we're facing are like infrastructure challenges. And okay, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to open up the second office? How are we going to get these insurances in place and this and that? So yeah, I think those things are incredibly valuable, and I think they offer you kind of like a lot of support.
Cool.
I think one of the things which, one of the big benefits of experience I've had is I've helped a lot of businesses go through from that kind of, small, like mid-market size to how to get bigger, and how do we position a business which is attractive for a third party, like private equity fund or whatever, to come in and buy the business. And all of that kind of, that's what I've been doing for like the last 10 years. So
okay, fine.
It's, that's really the differentiator in terms of like the platform and our ability to execute, to build a big, like a scale platform here.
Brilliant.
But ultimately, I think, it comes down to financing as well, right? You need to be able to, convince, either have the money which is great if you have it in the first place.
Yeah.
But if not, then you need to be able to convince someone to give you the money to be able to grow quickly.
Yeah. Oh, I know so many successful recruitment business owners and businesses in particular that have got one person that's kind of all the recruitment side of the commercial side, as you said, and someone's sitting next to them with all the financial, aspect to it and knows how to, deal with the business behind that. And it works so well. It really, really does. And I know a lot of companies that are turning over tens of millions that have done it and really successful. So, but I've got to I just want to dig a little bit deeper on this, and I hope you don't mind me asking, you guys have been known each other for a really long time, but you've not actually worked together in business, so was that something that crossed your mind? Because there's a lot of recruiters out there that work hand in hand together in their teams and they feel like it's good to kind of partner up, but how do you overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that we've been asked a few times, and also we've known each other since we were like 4 years old as well. So it's not like we're kind of like loosely acquainted. So we probably have a little bit of like a closeness where we'll chip away at each other if needed, and we can just be like quite direct. But yeah, I a lot of the questions that I got, and I think Andy got a lot of questions like, what are you doing leaving investment banking for recruitment? And I got a lot of questions like, what are you doing not partnering with someone who's in recruitment? Like he doesn't know about recruitment. But I think that's key. Like I've seen so many businesses coming back to the same idea that the back office and operational function is just not strong enough, and they're not scaled for success. So that was key. And then because we have kind of like two different lanes to an extent, and we both trust each other to do very well in that lane, it's kind of complementary. But we're 3 weeks in, we might start telling each other apart. I don't know. But
we haven't had our first office fight just yet.
Fine. Okay. Perfect. Hopefully it never happens anyway.
A little bit of stepping into a time capsule. We're back on the school playground.
No, it's all good fun. It's all good fun. So what's the plans now? Like, you've been 3 weeks into it. You just mentioned you're having conversations about infrastructure, locations, next office, etc. So, you're where you are now, but where do you see yourselves in 12 months' time?
Yeah, well, we're looking to attract top talent to the platform, really. And we're just feeling our way out as to what's the best way to create an attractive proposition for people, and having fun with it as well. We've got a bit of a content strategy. We've teamed up with a marketing company called Bold. We've done a fantastic job with our website. Yeah, that's going to be going live in the next sort of 3-4 weeks, I think it is now. Trying to just breathe a little bit more of a fresh and funky feel rather than kind of some of the corporate staleness that you see out there. But ultimately, we're kind of a partner-led model, so we want to seek out and find the best partners, the senior hires out there, and tell them our story and tell them why they should come and join this platform here.
And have you guys? Oh, sorry, go on, Rory.
I was going to say we kind of got an interesting proposition, I think, for partners, because we're big in terms of like people creating value and being fairly rewarded for that, and L tips at point of entry and all that kind of stuff. But we've also taken a lot of inspiration from like Silicon Valley businesses. So to build on what Andy said, like you look at a lot of recruitment websites and branding and companies, and they're kind of like two double barrel names. Like they all look the same. They're all the same color palette. They're all talking about the same things. And we really wanted to just zag a little bit when everyone was zigging and just start doing a different thing. Even like, our name Talisman, which is kind of like a magical good luck charm, right? As opposed to like these cool, cold, scientific focused stuff, even though we're saying, names that you'll get. So we've got a really cool branding suite, but we've also taken a lot of inspiration from like the way that they manage and build teams in Silicon Valley. Yeah. So like a different kind of structure around giving people freedom and responsibility. Context and not control, is in terms of like we're giving them a framework and a support system, but we're allowing them the creativity to grow. So I think we've got a really interesting proposition for the senior talent, and we're then going to be quite partner led. So our goal in the next 3 years is to launch 4 offices in the US. That could be cryptocurrency focused office that's out of Miami, because there's a lot of businesses down there. Yeah. It could be an electrical vehicle focused office that's in Nashville because they're building a lot of plants there, or wherever it is. Like we're very kind of flexible around that, but we want to have a multi-site location. That's part of our real estate strategy. we'll kind of be driven, I suppose, by opportunity partners for a lot of that stuff.
Brilliant. Fine. So in terms of, the next step in the business plan, and kind of more on my final question, if there's recruiters that are listening out there that are based in Los Angeles or anywhere in the US, I know what you're offering, but what would you want to see from them? What kind of personality do you think is going to best be suited to your business? What kind of market exposure, background, industry sector do you want to see, coming to work for you?
We're not really too worried about sectors. I've often thought that's kind of like the smallest piece of the pie.
Okay.
It's the IP in terms of industry. I think you can learn that very quickly as a recruiter if you're smart. There's a load of different ways to skin a cat in recruitment, right? So when you've really boiled it down to like fundamental skill sets, you don't need like a broad sweep. You need to be intellectually curious. You need to be solution solving. You need to be driven, and that could be by money, competition, prestige, team ethic, whatever it is. And then importantly for us, you need to be bought into the sense of community we're trying to build. We want to respect culture of respect. We want to respect culture of everybody helping each other out. But then within that, you can be different. You can be very, very kind of like analytical and bookish, and that's what drives you. Or you can be very, very salesy and business development focused. There's different kind of profiles I've seen be really successful. What we're looking for really is people that want to come in and build businesses, because we're at the start. So we want people that are really kind of growth orientated. The way that we focus, we're big on trying to shift the industry to more of a multi-year retainer subscription-led service. So we need people that have that level of intelligence and sophistication to move away from spot trading candidates and CV spanning and just specking people out and all that kind of stuff, and move to a conversation with the client, which is long-term value, where we can bring in a more holistic service like branding services, website services, HR consultancy. We can be a bit more of an umbrella in a longer-term play.
Yeah.
So, we need people that are smart. We need people that get it. We need people that are influential.
All right.
I don't know if you've got...
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's kind of it's a bit of an art, isn't it? You can only really work it out by talking to people.
Yeah, sure.
But it's an energy level and it's an ambition level, and I think it's an intellectual curiosity as well. So okay. It's not like we're necessarily saying like you have to have a recruitment background, but parallel kind of sales skills, or if you fit with the right potential and upside, then that's the people we'd like to talk to.
No, look, it's all about the individual, and that's how a lot of businesses have based their hiring on now, because, to gain the talent obviously is one thing, but to get the right personality for the culture for the right reasons and the right motives is something else that not everyone in recruitment may have. So I get that. And, if anyone's listening and it has that, then reach out to the guys. But I think one thing, and to kind of finish up on, at what point, and this goes back to a question I asked, at what point did you, more so Rory in this instance, think to yourself, now's the time, this is it? Do you remember the moment you sat there? Was it at home? Was you in a bar? Was you with Andrew? Where were you? What were you doing?
Yeah, I think for me, I wasn't one. I know a lot of people have like a burning passion for like ownership. Yeah. And like, I want to own something. I want to build it, and it's got to be mine. And my name's got to be, above the bar kind of thing. I never really had that. I think I was quite happy to be like successful and rise the ranks and, be a CEO of a big recruitment company, right? Or be a managing director of a big recruitment company. But ultimately, I think as great as my last business was, as much as I learned and enjoyed that, ultimately, I think you get to a point where you're going, I've got a lot of ideas here that I think are better than what we're doing, but we're not doing them because it's not my name above the bar, right? And so I think that just built up over time, and then with the pandemic as well, it was kind of a bit like, now is the time. I've still got the energy and the enthusiasm and good runway to get this going. And, I think I can do this. And I don't just want to be, sat there over, a few pints in the bar and be like, man, if it was my way, we'd be bloody twice the size, we'd be doing this. Like, kind of time where you've got to, at some point, like, put up or shut up, I guess. And that's kind of where I got to. And also there was a couple of things like, I wanted to, for me, when I think about Talisman being successful, it's not a dollar and cent exit figure. It's, a community of people that feel a certain way and that represent themselves a certain way to the market.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what I really wanted to build. And so that's I didn't feel I could build someone else's business. So
Fine.
I think also there's a gap in the market for recruiters who want to get access to some of the longer term value that they're creating in the work that they do, but also want to have the freedom to be able to have some level of autonomy and contribute to the direction of the culture. And I think that's where we're kind of positioning ourselves in the way that we're structuring our remuneration and comp packages, and also kind of the what's core to our values in terms of kind of setting a broader context, but not looking to micromanage anyone or be sort of KPI hawks. So I think we offer something a little bit different in that respect.
No, I completely agree. Everything you've said just shares a whole different picture to we're going to do IT recruitment. We want to be at 20 people by the end of this year, specializing in all the standard kind of tech markets and just competing with everybody else. What you're trying to do is create something very, very different, special, and a lot more aligned to the growing industries that are out there at the moment, which I think a lot of recruiters want to be involved with. And a lot of recruiters that we speak to in the US and the UK are always trying to push themselves to get to that and be in those areas, because that's why we're in recruitment. At the end of the day, is to make the most money in the most valuable markets. And what you've got covered is those spaces. Guys, I wish you the best of success with everything, and I'm sure you'll absolutely smash it. Your background speaks for themselves, and working together, as I said before, it works very, very well. Just hopefully not anytime soon. Don't sort of clash heads or anything like that.
Why do we don't kill each other?
Just avoid that if you can. But no, look, I'm sure that anyone listening in to this, there's going to be quite a few people. Reach out to the guys, ask them any questions that they have. You guys will be tagged in it on all social media and everything that kind of puts the podcast out there. So I'll leave you guys to crack on, get to it, and thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Elliot.
Thanks, mate.